Hey.
All right, we are trying to start the event here for Winephabet.
All right, we're live.
Hi, Deb.
So, welcome to Winephabet Street. Webinar Jam, which is the platform that we use, has had a bait and switch. They've upgraded all their technology, and now I had to move everything over from one to the other, so we're getting used to the new platform. So we'll have to see what works.
Yes, we will see what works, except now, Debbie, I am noticing that it says room expiration 3 hours and 59 minutes.
Me too, so I think we're good.
I think we should be good.
Yeah.
So anyway, welcome to Winephabet Street. We will keep our fingers crossed that we don't have many technical issues as we learn how this new platform works. And thank you for joining us today. So Debbie, do you want to introduce yourself first?
Sure. I'm Debbie Giaquindo. I'm known as the Hudson Valley Wine Goddess. I'm a wine blogger, wine writer. I am a restaurant owner of Kitchen 330 in Stone Harbor, and I am author of Tapping the Hudson Valley, Day Trips and Weekend Itineraries Visiting the Hudson Valley Wine Region. I think that's it, right?
Sure, I guess so. And I am Lori Budd, and I, along with my husband Michael, own Dracaena Wines in Paso Robles, California. We specialize in Cabernet Franc. We are the founders of the internationally recognized Cab Franc Day, which is kind of is one of the reasons why we are talking about the wine we are today, and I'll explain that a little bit later. But I also write an award-winning blog and produce the podcast Exploring the Wine Glass. And you can find me on all the social medias under both of those, Dracaena Wines and Exploring the Wine Glass. So as we get started, Debbie is going to do the video to start off with because...
Okay. Are you still seeing the old one?
I am still seeing the old one.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
So today's letter of the day is E, and it is Egri Bikaver. And I was a little surprised when I was doing the research, because I actually thought it was a grape, and I have had this before. So it was very interesting, and it's one of the things I love about doing this series is that not only are we sending information out into the wine world that hopefully people are learning about, but I get to learn all new stuff too. So it was really kind of interesting.
Yeah, I kind of knew, but I've had years ago was participating in something and I had to get a bottle of it, but I really didn't know the whole background of it, which was really interesting.
Right. So now I did know the background of it. And as I mentioned earlier before our little song, one of the reasons why we chose Egri Bikaver is because while Michael and I were in Hungary as a guest of Villeneuve wine region to discuss Cab Franc Day and Cabernet Franc's presence in California, we were in Budapest, and every night we went out and we picked a bottle of local wine to give a try, and that's how we ended our evening. And we picked a bottle of bull's blood, and I researched while we were drinking the bottle. I was on my phone Googling why it's called bull's blood. So I was familiar with the history, but even then I thought that it was a grape. So I love learning new stuff about wine.
Yeah. And we were thinking about doing that grape too for Kay.
Yes. Yes.
So that's to be determined.
Yes, to be determined. And we're going to talk, I'll talk more about that off camera or whatever. We might have a connection.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, But anyway, so we are in season 2, letter E, and for the first time ever,
we have the same wine.
Same wine.
And we didn't find that out until we logged on.
Posted on Instagram.
Yeah. Yeah. But yours was 50 cents cheaper than mine.
Yes, I'm quite the bargain shopper. I am quite the bargain shopper. So are we ready to give this a taste?
Sure.
So here comes our lovely sound that we love so much.
All right.
All right. So Slancha.
Cheers.
Okay, here we go. Mine actually might still be a little too cold. I put it in at 6:30 and pulled it out at 7, but it seems a little cold.
Oh, I opened mine at 7:30. The nose, it smells nice.
You know, it's not shabby.
It's okay. It's not heavy. It's light.
It's very light, and you can tell, I mean, it's always tough in the videos to see it, but it's a very light color. It's transparent.
Yeah.
It is definitely ruby. It's got a
sour
little
cherry.
Yeah, yes, a little.
Oh my God, this finish is sour cherry.
Transparency on the edges.
But it's not bad. I would say this could be a porch pounder.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know?
And at $9.29, I don't know, this might be a go-to for when people come over to the house.
I mean, that's not bad at all. And, you know, I have to say, when I can remember years ago when I had to go find a bottle of this, and I went into Arlington Liquor, and they were like, bull's blood, you know?
Right.
And they gave it to me. You know, there was like one, I don't even know what brand. I'd have to go back and search through pictures. And it wasn't as good as this.
Yeah. This is
this
is a nice, pleasant surprise.
I'm very surprised. I'm very surprised. Not really. There's really no faults in it. It's smooth. It's easy drinking.
And it's definitely sour cherry. It's sour cherry. There's a little hint to me of maybe rosemary. Little rosemary on the nose. There's a little dust, a little earth type thing. But definitely red fruit. Maybe even a little plum on the nose.
Maybe there's like a hint of a. Maybe it's the rosemary.
But on the palate, it's actually fuller. It's a fuller body than I actually would have thought by looking at it. It's not full bodied. It's a medium body, but by the look of it, I would have said
it's more light bodied.
Yeah, but I was expecting it to be like super light, and there's that 2% milk, I think, you know.
Yeah, I'd go with that.
It's the palate, the finish is actually really quite long.
Yeah.
I think it's a winner.
I'm impressed.
You know, and you buy a case of it, you're getting 15% off. This is a steal, I think, you know, something, and I think it's very easy going. So like I was saying, if you have people over who really aren't so much into wine but want a bottle of wine, you're looking at $9 a bottle, less than $9 a bottle, with a discount. I think it's a solid win for a party.
And it's nice flavors.
Mm-hmm. So. And at the very least, if they look at the label and ask what the heck, it's a party conversation starter.
Absolutely. So we go into because we're going to sit here because we're impressed with this to talk about it, but we gotta start on this.
You are actually up first with the history.
I'll start with the history. Let's see here. Start. There we go.
Love it.
You like my bowl?
I do.
All right. history. Let me get my notes up here.
And I'm going to apologize up front. I'm going to be having to move around quite a bit, so I'm hoping I'm not distracting to who's ever watching me, but I can't sit very long.
That's okay. So, Egri Bikaver, you pronounce it much better than I do. I have issues pronouncing a lot of things, which is also known as bull's blood of Egri. Bika meaning bull and ver meaning blood, made both in Sisgard in the south of Hungary and in Egri in the northeast. So we're going to start out with legend versus reality. So legend has it that Egri Bikaver, bull's blood, dates back to the Turkish occupation and the siege of Egri in 1552. The captain of the castle, Esteban Dobo, brought red wine to the soldiers that were fighting on the walls. And the red wines would stain their beards and everything. So the Turks thought that the soldiers in Egri drank blood, mainly that blood of the bull. So the Turks didn't dare fight their defenders, having gained the power of the strength from the bull's blood. So they were afraid. They were afraid of them. They thought, oh my God, they drinking this bull's blood and they're gaining the strength of a bull. We've got, no way are we going to win this war. So they, rescinded. So let's see here. So the siege of 1552, Ahmed Pasha was the leader of the Turkish armies, and he liked one of the maids that was serving at the local inn. And the innkeeper and the staff didn't have enough time to flee before the attack, so they stayed. And they figured that, they'll put their fate in the Turkish, and they didn't get killed. And the Pasha employed the innkeeper's wife as a cook. And he really liked the beautiful maid and wanted to make her one of his mistresses. So
one of his mistresses?
What?
One of his mistresses?
One of his mistresses. And the girl was scared and asked the innkeeper's wife to save her. So she promised to save her. And that night before the siege, the innkeeper's wife made a special sauce to accompany heavy meat of the dish. And the Pasha loved it, and he couldn't stop eating the red sauce. And he loved it so much, he began drinking the red sauce from the cup. Well, it was the bull's blood, and it was the wine, and the alcohol made him so disoriented that he went to bed. and the maid escaped from the tent and was nowhere to be seen. She just ran like no one wouldn't, like you or I would run. And he was and the Pasha was so angry and accused the cook of adding some secret substance to the sauce to make him pass out. And the cook defended herself by saying that the only extra ingredients that she added to the food was bull's blood, which was commonly consumed in Hungary. So that's how famous red wine of Egri became Bikaver, which was bull's blood. So there weren't many pictures and stuff. I didn't have a lot of stuff to choose from for this. So the bull's blood was first designated by Janos Gare in his poem called Drinking Song from Sisgard. Is that how you pronounce that?
I believe so.
Okay, in 1846. And it was called Pour It in Your Glass and You'll See a Miracle. Its color is like bull's blood, yet the pearl that it shines from it is like snow white. And the vine which produced it is like green a meadow. Where else can you find a nicer tricolor of our nice homeland? So here's more of the grapes. So reality is the grapes were grown in Hungary until the Turkish occupation, and the craft of making red wine was brought to the country by the Serbians fleeing from the conquest from the Ottoman Empire. It is not known truly when the Egri Bikaver emerged, but it has been recorded as early as the beginning of the 19th century. Bikaver, a full-bodied red wine produced in Agar and Sysgard. Suskir Ivestan in 1981 wrote, "I have searched different sources for the composition of the grape types constituting bull's blood. The earliest record dates back to 1912, when in addition to Katakar, I have found Blue Frank, Cabernet, and Merlot." I'm in the right one, right? History?
Yep.
Okay, so I've got more. So over the past 2 decades, winemakers have been working really hard in refining the conditions of production, name, classification, and control for the wine. In 1997, Egri Bikaver became the first wine of protected denomination origin in Hungary, in modern Hungary wine history, under the Egri Bikaver regulation of 1997. This domesticated the red wine, and it's the true essence of the red wine of Agar, a terroir wine which carries the flavor of the soils of local production sites and the different microclimates of the region. It is a blend of at least 3 grapes for the classic Bikaver and at least 5 varieties for the Superior Bikaver and the Grand Superior. So the main grape in bull's blood in Egri Bikaver is Kek Frankos, which we all know as Glockenfrosch or Lemberger. And the wine must be at least 50% of this grape. And the other varieties that are blended in are Kedarka, Syrah, Merlot, Portugieser, Minar, Blauburger, Pinot Noir, and Zweigelt, and also Turan. And there can be a maximum of 30% Cabernet Sauvignon, Cab Franc on their own or combined. And in the Superior and Grand Superior, you can have 5% of Turan. The wine is produced in a 3-tier system of quality. The classic is aged in oak for a minimum of 6 months, the Superior for 12 months, and the Grand Superior for 16 months. And that's what I got on history.
All right. I'm just pouring myself another glass because
I didn't find that much. It was very difficult. Did you find it difficult?
I actually kind of have quite a bit. Oops, I just almost lost it. Which would have stuck because I wouldn't have been able to pick
I
it up.
should have called in a relative. Seriously, I should have. I thought about doing that, but I'm like, wait, I can do this.
No, I know you have a connection.
Yeah, I've got some family still over there that own wineries. So
yeah,
but it's not the same region.
I found some things. Some of it is a little bit similar to what you talked about, but I found a little bit. It's not. It definitely is not one of the most easily to find. Let's just put it that way. So I have the general characteristics, okay? And before I actually get into the general characteristics of Egri Bikaver, I need to do a little shameless self-promotion. So as I said, 2 Thanksgivings ago, Mike and I were the guests of the Villeneuve wine community in Hungary, and we were brought there to talk about Cabernet Franc. And while we were there, we spent 3 days in Budapest. And so we were there for 7 total days. And while we were there, that's how we first came upon this bull's blood. So upon returning back to the States, I wrote a series of blog posts because there was just way too much information to do in a single post. So I did 3 of them. And I thought I was really clever with my titles. So, are you hungry for wine? And then, so part 1 is about history. Part 2 is about Villeneuve itself, and then part 3 was actually about the Tokai wines, and that was where we got the samples the Tokai that we did at the wine dinner.
Okay.
So nice and simple Hungary P1, P2, and P3. Okay. So Egri Bikaver is named after the region known for its production, Eger. Egri is a short 2-hour drive east from Budapest, and it is located between Budapest and Tokai, and it is the site of the 16th century battle between the Hungarians and the Ottomans. The vineyards themselves are in the region, are close to the mountains, so it provides a very cool climate. And the region that has survived socialism, where quantity, not quality, was rewarded, Egri has only been working on its quality for about 20 years. So that was a big problem with a lot of the Hungarian wines, including Cab Franc, but especially this bull's blood, is that because under socialism control, they just wanted the producers to pump out more and more and more wine, and they didn't really care about the quality. But in the last 20 years, that kind of has taken the back end, and now wineries, the winemakers, are really focusing in on producing high quality wines, and it has changed significantly. So Egri Bikaver is, as you said, a red blend in Eger, and that is actually the second largest city in Hungary, and then it is also produced in Szeged. The first known reference to Egri Bikaver was in 1553 at the fortress of Eger, and I did not have the luxury of seeing this fortress, but it is magnificent. The castle is known for repelling the Turkish attack in 1552 during the siege of Eger. It is here that Istan Dobo and his troops repelled the attack of the 30 times bigger Sultan's army, which was led by Ahmed Pasha, who was the chief commander. And that's where this bull's blood legend comes into play. Now, I heard a little bit different story when we were there, was that he actually told his men, because they all thought that they were going to die because there were 30 times as many people that they were going to fight the next morning. The legend that I heard was that he told his men that he was feeding them bull's blood, so that when they went to sleep, they would wake up with the strength of the bulls, and that would allow them to conquer the 30 times people.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, right. So I thought that was pretty cool, but that it's a different. It told.
Yeah, like I said, legend versus reality. There's more than one legend.
Right, right. So they drank the wine, which they felt that they thought was bull's blood, and they woke up with this amazing, like, oh my God, we can kick some ass, yeah, and they went out and they did so. So the Turks attacked the border castle, and the battle continued for an entire month. On September 28th, the Turks managed to expunge one of the bastions, but thanks to the resourcefulness of the Captain Dobo, where they were able to push off the army. And this is basically the brand logo for bull's blood. So rumor has it that the Hungarians drank the blood of the bull during the siege, which provided them with their superhuman power. And that is where the name comes from. Egri Bikaver is all about the blends. 20 years ago, the wines were more like a Bordeaux blend, with only a small percentage of the indigenous grapes. But most recently, this has changed, and more regulations have come into play that state that the wine must be produced in Egri district of the wine region. In recent years, there has been a steady increase in the amount of Cab Francos in the blend. There are similarities and differences between Bakaver, which is produced in those two regions. So the similarities between Egri and Szeged Bakaver. Both are required a minimum of the 4 grape varietals that must be included. Quec Francos, as you mentioned, must be a dominant grape. And other grape varieties are usually the Bordeaux varietals, Cabernet Sauvignon, Cabernet Franc, and Merlot. And as you mentioned, also the Zweigelt, Turan, and Kadarka. There's a minimum oak aging requirement, but the oak flavor, it is written that the oak flavor cannot be a dominant profile in the wine.
So do you think that they use neutral oak?
No, I think they can use new oak, but the size, I think they're going with the sizes of the basks so that the surface area is different. And I couldn't find, but I would bet that there is the same as with the tiers of Cab Franc and Viognier. There is a jurisdictional panel that they must submit to if they want to be classified, and those people have to post it annually. I'm guessing that's going to be the same for this, where they have to submit their wine, and whoever palate it is going to determine that it is not oak influenced, or it can be oak influenced. It can't be overly oaked. It can't be, it can't be a California Chardonnay, it can't be the Butterbomb type thing, right? So it can't have an overly that dominant oakness. And then the differences are that Egri has 3 categories, as you mentioned, the classic, the superior, and the grand superior. Sesgard only has 2 categories, and they're titled regular and premium. Oak aging requirements for the basic Bakiva vary. So the 6 months in Egar, where it's 12 months in Sesgard. The higher categories of both regions, though, do require 12 months. Permitted grape varieties vary. So in Egri, it allows 13 varieties for the classic and 12 for the superior and grand, where the Sesgard allows 18 for the regular, but only 10 for the premium. So including Kadarka is a requirement in Sesgard, but not in Egri, which I thought was interesting. Also, the minimum alcohol levels vary. For Egri, it requires an 11.5% minimum for the Classicus and 12% for the superior and grand superior, where in Sesgard, both styles require 12%.
Mine's, yours is too, 12%.
Right. So this chart is actually a fantastic chart.
It is nice.
That shows the similarities and the differences, and it is exactly what I just went over. And the reason why I stated it is because I don't know how big this actually looks when somebody is looking at it. But it was a beautiful chart that had similarities and differences. So if anybody was interested, they can see that. And
I wonder why they limit the amount of Toran. Have you ever had that grape?
No.
I wonder what that is.
Yeah, I don't know.
I never have either.
I don't know. I've never seen it, but we can start looking.
Yeah.
We can start looking. Okay, so Egri Bikaver color ranges from garnet red to deep ruby. And I couldn't find any actual documented tasting notes. So this is what I got before, because we didn't taste it yet. This is what I got from Vivino's community to determine it. Basically, you can expect black fruit, including plum, which I did mention at the beginning.
Yes.
I did think there was some plum in there.
Yep, I got some.
Blueberry, black cherry, cassis, blackcurrant, and blackberry.
I got blackberry now.
As it warms up a little bit for me.
And the sour cherry that I had on the finish is not as dominant anymore.
Oh, okay. So again, shows you how the temperature affects it. Earthiness includes minerals, mushroom, leather, bacon, fat, and roasted meat. And then this is what I was getting at the beginning, was more of the red fruits, including the cherry, raspberry, cranberry, strawberry, and red currant. And then because it is oak aged, you are going to get some influence on it. So you can include some chocolate, coffee, cedar, tobacco, and spices, which include pepper, fennel, bay, licorice, dried herbs, cinnamon, mint, hazelnut, molasses, and toast. Now, I did get some of the herbs.
Yeah.
Did not get coffee.
I actually got chocolate.
On the palette, I see now I'm getting like I'm getting the hazelnut now.
I got a little bit on the palate.
Right. Yeah.
I had written it down.
Mine is still a little bit chilly, so mine might get
Sour
more.
cherry is still there.
Yes, definitely.
It's still.
Definitely.
It's a huge on the finish. It's not as. It didn't pucker. I don't pucker as much as I did at the beginning.
Correct. Correct. Me too. There's still sour cherry, but it doesn't have that.
Yeah.
When I first tasted it, it really reminded me of when I was a kid. I used to love to eat those sour cherry balls, the candies.
Yeah.
And it really reminded me of that.
Yeah.
Which I kept going back to when we were doing the Barolo, and I kept getting that sour cherry also. But it's not as dominant now. And then last thing I have is due to the riper, more concentrated grape produce, as well as the extended aging in barrels and bottles, the Superior and Grand Superior wines have marked aromas of mellowing and lasting flavors, full body, and a long shelf life of minerality, and it's very harmonious. The difference between them is usually manifested in the fullness and duration of the aroma. Now, this must just be a classic because it's not rated. It doesn't have Superior or Grand Superior. So this must just be a classic. So I'm very, very intrigued now to try to find an upper tier one.
The liquor store, this was the only choice for me.
Yeah, I think I had two to choose from. I'm pretty sure I had two to choose from.
That was my only choice.
So, like I said, I'm impressed with it. Like it's not something that I would say, oh my God, this is, end all be all of red wine. But when you consider that $9 price,
I think if you want to open a bottle of wine and you don't want to open a really good bottle of wine, you just want to, you've had a whatever.
Right.
Day and you just want to sit down and open a bottle of wine and not think about it. This is the bottle that you want to open.
Yeah, I agree. Now, I bought mine. I actually did buy it at Total Wine, and I was a bit confused because on the Total Wine website, it is listed as having Grenache in it. And
really,
I think it's a website error because in no research was Grenache
ever mentioned. They don't grow Grenache in Hungary.
Allowed. And that's exactly, I'm not even aware Grenache is there. So I think it's a Total Wine faux pas. So that is.
Yeah, I got mine at Viscount in Fishkill.
Okay. So the I think Total Wine has the Egri Bikaver in the wrong section.
And it happens.
Yeah. And so that was I was like, that's not one of the 13 that are allowed. So I think it's whoever did the the typing in there.
Right.
And it's 12% alcohol, and I was able to find it. I'm not sure if you were. This has what I found was the Cabernet Sauvignon, Merlot, and Zweigelt is in there.
Yeah, I got the same. The legendary red wine of the region. The really spicy red noble grape is a blend of Cafrancos, Cabernet Sauvignon, Merlot, and Zweigelt.
Oh, okay, good. So we got that the same.
Best with Hungarian dishes and spicy games.
Yes. So,
I think that this is a cooperative that produces it. I couldn't find much on it.
well, I actually went to Snooth, and Snooth had a decent, for what I would consider what the wine is. I thought they had quite a bit about it. According to Snooth, it is, or actually, I'm sorry, this part was not Snooth. Produced in accordance with centuries-old tradition, Egri Bikaver is still a blend of noble and indigenous varieties. This was aged up to 2 years in oak, and it's in volcanic stone cellars. And then, according to Snooth, I could find information about the vineyard. So
I had gotten, and I just closed the window by accident. Let me see if I can get it back. History. So if I went to EBBVIN,
yep.
Hungary.
Okay, go ahead. Yep.
It's telling me I have to download Flash Player.
Oh, okay.
Allow once. Oh, it was blocked. Never mind, I got it. It's coming up. It seemed that it was somebody, almost like a consortium of wines, to me, with many different many different,
super brand.
Yeah, that's a good way. Many, one owner but many brands.
Right.
Because it went to about us, and it said, is the trader of self-bottled and developed unique wines. We're building and improving our own distinct wine brands, developed over decades with continuously improving image. Our wines reflect the characteristics, flavor, and specific wine regions, as well as the realization of our commercial and strategic objectives. Years of experience. They don't say who they are or what they are, or where they are.
Right. Let me read what I found on Snooth. They have the Egervin Vineyard Company takes enormous pride in a tradition of winemaking that spans several decades. It was founded in 1949. The company has been reorganized and improved over the years. It has now been operating since June of 1993 under a new and revitalized leadership as a private firm with 100% Hungarian ownership. During this period, the company has achieved a leading position in the developing Hungarian wine industry, and as an exporter has become one of the most significant players in Hungarian wine making. So that was directly off Snooth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same.
So not so easy to find information about the winery, or like I thought the producer was Egervin, but
I thought so too.
I think that's the vineyard. So I think we're looking at a conglomerate that just is kind of massive.
I think they have a little bit of everything.
Right.
But they're not telling you what their background is. There's probably multi-investors.
Right, right.
And there's probably a lot of different arms.
Yeah. I did find that they make 3 million bottles a year.
Okay.
So divide that.
Of bull's blood?
What of that? Yeah.
Wow. That's a lot of bull's blood.
That's a lot of bull's blood. Yes, yes, yes. So we're going to move on to food pairings.
Okay.
Now, I would say that, I had anesthesia in me from the surgery, so I did the wrong thing and I did food pairings instead of fast facts. But unfortunately, I hadn't had the surgery yet, and I was in full state of mind when I did the food pairings. And Debbie sent me a very nice text going, I
was like, all right, don't I have food pairings? I'm like halfway through my food pairings, And I was like going through my family like cookbooks and stuff, and
So
I did upload both of our slide
you
presentations.
did. So we have a double dose of food pairings for you tonight. So an overload of potential recipes for you to pair with Egri Bikaver. So Debbie, since it's really supposed to be yours, do you want to go first or
I'll
should
start
I
and
go
then
first?
you can go.
Okay,
Okay.
so you can go first.
So let me just get my notes up here. On the food pairings. So pretty much with this, it's a nice, it's a red wine. You probably want to go something with rich, and it's got a little bit of acid, I think, also in the wine. Yeah. So, it'll break down that fat of a steak. They say, you might want to prepare a dish with some spice to it. But I wouldn't overdo. When I say spice, I'm talking flavorful spice, not heat spice.
Correct. I agree with
you. So roast steaks, things like that. So I went to my cookbooks, and those are my 2 Hungarian cookbooks beside my family handwritten recipes. So I went through those to try and find some kind of like authentic type of recipes. And then I went to try and find pictures of them online. So we'll see how good I came out. So, well, one was roasted duck, which is called kashan pechenyi. And this is actually a roasted duck dish we do at Kitchen 330. So just so happens to be. And next is Hungarian goulash. So this was a staple in my house. And in fact, my parents every New Year's Eve, oh no, it was paprikas that they ate every New Year's Eve, but Hungarian goulash. And this is goulash. Now, I have a funny story about this. So my grandfather, God bless him, he was 93, I think, when he passed away. He would make this dish actually in his microwave. And it tasted really good, and I tried to duplicate it, and it did not taste like my grandfather. So it's a Hungarian beef soup, paprika beef soup. And I have no idea, like, if he browned, he did brown the meat before and then just heated it up. But I remember stopping at his house, and he made it, and I'm like, this is great. He gave me the recipe. I could not duplicate it for the life of me. So that went down under with him. Foie gras is also something that would pair nicely with it. I know you don't like foie gras, but that is actually something that would pair nice with it. This is paprikas. This is what my parents ate every New Year's Eve. They made it with veal, and dumplings. And I've made it. It doesn't taste as good as my mother's or my grandmother's. Hunter style pot roast, which is nice. And Hungarians are big on stuffed peppers. Now this is and actually I plant these in my garden every year, these Hungarian peppers, just because it just keeps me in touch with my roots. And they're actually sweet peppers.
So that's not a roll. That's like
no, it's a long yellow pepper.
Oh, okay.
And when I first planted it, my husband's like, "It's going to be hot." I'm like, "No, it's sweet. It is a sweet pepper." They do make Hungarian hots, but you can do it Hungarian sweet peppers, and it's usually made with pork, but you can also make it with beef. And there's other dishes that pair well. Venison will probably go well with this. Stews, if you have any, stews, pheasant, partridge in the there was partridge and stuff in the cookbooks, and I just couldn't find anything like that, and that's just not in my realm of diet either. So I didn't spend too much time searching. But they had some interesting recipes in there, and you know, some I've actually tried. And there's a lot of cabbage, like stuffed cabbage. They're big on stuffed cabbage, and I actually should have posted my stuffed cabbage because I've made a Hungarian stuffed cabbage before.
That was our biggest problem, which is the biggest problem whenever we travel, is what am I eating?
Yes.
But we found Italian restaurants in Hungary. It was really good. The food was really good. But yeah, Mike and I usually when we're on vacation, you know, everything's all good because, you know, you're on vacation, you're relaxed, you're all happy. Then whenever it comes to dinner time, there's usually an argument because we'll walk to go find a restaurant and we'll look at a menu and I'm like, there's nothing for me to eat. And we'll go to the next restaurant. There's nothing for me to eat. And then after about the 5th time, I'm like, as long as they have lettuce, I'm good. Just let me have lettuce. And he's like, no. Yeah. So yeah, but we found a really, really good Italian restaurant. And I loved that. And yeah, I think we had pizza the second night too. I mean,
did you? I would have been eating stuffed cabbage. I would have been eating.
Yeah, but what is it all?
Paprikas. I love. In my house, my mother called it Hungarian no name because my grandmother gave her the recipe and it didn't have a name, so she called it Hungarian no name, and it was veal paprikas. So
yeah, see,
all it's actually pretty easy to make, and she would make it with veal. My mother would make it with veal, but it can be made with chicken.
If I could just have the cabbage, I'd be happy. I just don't want the stuff.
And the dumplings, I loved it with the dumplings.
Which has what in it?
It's just flour and water dumplings.
Oh, okay.
The paprikas. You would have the veal paprikas, but you would have the dumplings, and I'd have the veal.
Okay. All right. So we found something.
Yeah.
All right. So my food pairings. Egri Bikaver requires 2 or 3 years of oak aging. So it is best with game, lamb, pork, beef, or other spiced foods. And it is best with mature hard cheese or blue cheese. And it is recommended to be served at 15 to 17 degrees Celsius.
I kind of think blue cheese would overpower this.
I don't eat blue cheese, so I can't tell you, but
I will. I think it would overpower it.
Pretty funky, so I can see it overpowering it. I can see it, but personally, I don't know. Okay, so this is venison with caramelized onions and mushrooms.
I can see that.
Okay, so
that tastes well.
Yeah, I think
there's some earthiness in the wine.
Exactly,
and the venison, it's red meat. That would taste really nice.
Yeah, I don't eat either of them. I'd eat the onions, but
I really don't eat venison like that until the executive sous chef for the Boston Bruins gave me a sample. And
okay. All right, well, I guess if he's going to give you a sample.
At the Hudson Valley Wine Fest when he was demoing, and I was like, oh, well, like a smaller piece because I wasn't sure. It was very good.
Did I ever share with you the one time this is why we don't go to wine dinners anymore. We were invited to a wine dinner here in New Jersey at a very classy restaurant. And it was like $250 a head, but we were a guest of somebody.
Wow.
And we walked into the restaurant in Englewood Cliffs, and I looked at the menu, and I almost keeled over from just looking at the menu. And the first course comes out, and it was mushroom, blah 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 blah, right? So of course I don't eat it, but I drank the wine. And then it was like pigeon was on the course, like it was just all of the stuff that was. By the third course, Mike is like kicking me under the table. Just cut it up and move it around the plate, because they would seriously come and put the plate down in front of me, and I'd be like, oh my God, and I would just drink the wine, right? By the third course, and then they would come and take it away and give me the next course. By the third course, Mike is like, cut it up, move it around the plate, and make it look like you ate it. All right, just make it look like you ate it. So that's what I do. I cut it up, and I like move it around the plate so that it looked like somebody ate something, and they'd remove it. And then at the end of the dinner, we leave, and I'm like, can we go to the diner and I get a salad, please? So that's what we did. We left a $250 a head dinner, and
Oh, Lori.
went to the local diner and got me a Greek
Oh,
salad. So, lamb borek. I really don't remember what this is, but I thought it looked pretty cool. I mean, it
interesting.
looks like a pretzel, a rolled pretzel with.
It does. Or maybe it's a sausage.
No, I think it is bread. I think
Okay.
it's like a pastry type thing.
Okay.
Baked pork tenderloin.
Okay.
Beef Wellington.
Oh yeah, I can see that.
Yeah. Okay.
I would want a heavier wine with the beef Wellington, though.
I have no idea what that tastes like, but
Yeah, I think I would want a heavier wine. But
why heavier? What about a beef?
Because it's like like the tail end of the filet mignon. It's a Chateaubriand.
It's a big meat.
Yeah, I just think it would be a heavier wine. I mean, I think this will be okay, but I would enjoy it better with a cab.
So in the picture, you see that it's got the like dough around it.
The pastry, right? Yep. Mm-hmm.
And then there's the meat. Is that like flavor? Like, do you put?
They kind of like sear the meat first.
Oh, okay.
And then you wrap it, I believe, in the pastry, and then you bake it.
Oh, okay. Okay. And so I'm guessing you have to cook the meat first, because the meat would never cook if
right
first. Okay. Firecracker chicken. So this one I thought, okay, but it would really depend on how hot it was, because as you were saying, I think a true spicy dish would overpower this. But at only 12% alcohol,
but if it's flavorful, I think we'll be fine.
Right. But it is with the white rice. Excuse me. It is with the white rice. So I think that the combination of the chicken, the spice in the chicken, and
I think it'll be fine.
The blandness of the white rice, I think, would go well.
Mm-hmm.
And then the aged hard cheeses and blue cheese. So that was my food.
I'm really liking this.
Yes, so do I.
I might be drinking the whole bottle by the end of the night.
So do I. I like it. All right, so I'm going to go again now that I'm doing what I was supposed to do.
Now that everybody's hungry.
Yes, now that everybody's hungry. And I learned how to cook some meat that I'll never eat. We're going to do some fast facts. So if you're going to leave this presentation, leave this podcast with, only X amount of things to remember, these are those that we hope you remember. So fact number 1, Egri Bikaver, or bull's blood of Agar, is a red blend produced in Agar and also in Schweizgard. Fact number 2, Egri Bikaver is produced in accordance with a regulation designating 3 tiers of quality: Classicus, Superior, and Grand Superior. The product description contains the rules of yield restriction, fermentation, aging in barrels and in bottles, as well as how they are allowed to market it and trade it for the different tiers. And that I thought was interesting. And I did actually try to go down the rabbit hole of that, because I was really interested of how they regulate the marketing and actual selling of the wine. You can, the other like AOCs or things like that, they can regulate how you make the wine, but I am unaware of any regulation of how they can market it, but apparently this is also regulated as how they can market it. But I couldn't find anything that stipulated what those regulations were. Fact number 3, Egri Bikaver requires 2 or 3 years of oak aging and is best with game, lamb, pork, beef, or other spicy food. It is best with mature hard cheese and blue cheese, and Egri Bikaver should be served between 15 and 17 degrees Celsius. Number 4, the first known reference to Egri Bikaver was in 1552 at the fortress of Eger. The castle is known for repelling the Turkish attack in 1552 during the siege of Eger. And fact number 5 is that Egri Bikaver is actually all about the blend. It is not a grape itself. Kekfrancos must be the dominant grape, and other grape varieties are usually the Bordeaux varietals, such as Cabernet Sauvignon, Cabernet Franc, and Merlot, and regional local ones such as I'm going to sneeze. Zweigalt, Turan, and Kardaka. And those are the Fast 5 facts. So
I'm enjoying this.
I really am too. And it's nice to know that you can have a wine that's $9 or under $10 really, that is an enjoyable wine. It goes to show that, you don't have to spend a lot of money to.
And I'm surprised.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, I didn't have any expectations coming into this. And it was so long ago when I tasted this for something else. I mean, this is a long time ago, but I'm just like
digging it.
Really enjoying it. It does have, I think a little high acid. It'll go well with food.
Mm-hmm. It's
definitely something, this is a nice red wine in the summertime because it's not heavy.
Right.
I have problems. I can't drink cabs in the summer because it's like it's hot and I'm drinking this heavy, it's like I'm gonna pass out.
Right.
But this is a nice, summer red.
Mm-hmm. But I think I agree. It can be a very nice summer red, but it has enough body to it that it can be a winter red too.
Yes, I mean it goes well with steak, stews. Winter to me is stew time. Stew and soups. This will go very well with it.
Right. Yeah. I like it. I wish that I could. I'm going to have to go back through my photos because I'm sure at some point when we were in Hungary that I took a picture of the bottle. Because I'll be curious and like shocked if this is actually the bottle that we purchased while we were in Hungary.
I think this bottle that we both got is so widely distributed. I think it's probably the #1 bull's blood that's distributed in the States.
Right.
That's just from when I typed in under images, this is all I got.
Right.
Of the wine.
I'm going to have to go back and look at my pictures of Hungary and see what bull's blood, because we purchased 2. So I know one of them definitely is not this, but I'm curious if the other one was. Because, we just went to like the local supermarket, local shop to purchase. But anyways, well, I am all for drinking more bull's blood.
I am too.
So cheers to that.
I hope you guys go get a bottle of bull's blood and enjoy it like we are, and let us know what you're thinking.
Absolutely. And Debbie, what are we doing next month?
Oh, next month we're doing Fumé Blanc. And hold on. I do have the link for it. Let me grab it. Hold on just 2 seconds. And we are doing Fumé Blanc. EF is, and
yes.
Yeah. Oh, when is it?
I don't know. That's always your job.
Fumé Blanc is March 16th.
March 16th. Sounds good.
So you free March 16th? Do we have a date?
We have a date. I don't know. I will be in California, hopefully off of crutches, but probably not.
I gotta go find a bottle.
I think that will be an easy one to find.
Yeah, it's an Oak Sauvignon Blanc.
Yes. Yeah. That's going to be some interesting history because I love the history behind Fumé Blanc.
Yeah.
I do
that
too. Is pure marketing genius right there. So
yes.
So March 16th it is. Fumé Blanc will be in our glass. I will be in California, so it will be warmer. So we'll be drinking.
I will be here on the East Coast. So
yes.
We will see you all then.
Yes. So thank you everybody for joining us. And Elmo says thank you. And we will see you for the letter F in 1 month.
All right. Take care, everybody.
Pancha.
Bye-bye.
Bye.